Lieutenant John Mason sat at his station aboard the orbital platform Sentinel, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. The quiet hum of computers and occasional beeps from monitoring systems filled the command center. It was supposed to be a routine shift, but the unexpected energy spike on his scanner changed everything. "Commander Ellis," he called out, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "You need to see this." Commander Susan Ellis moved quickly to his station, her brow furrowing as she studied the readings. The energy signature was unlike anything their systems had ever recorded, and it was growing stronger by the second. "Alert all stations," she ordered, "and get me a visual." The main screen flickered to life, showing empty space near lunar orbit. Then, as if tearing through the fabric of reality itself, a massive ship appeared. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the largest vessel humans had ever built. Its dark metal hull was covered with strange markings and what looked like weapon ports. "My God," whispered Ellis. "Open all channels. Try to make contact." For nearly an hour, they sent every possible greeting signal with no response. The giant ship simply hung in space, silent and threatening. Then, without warning, the communications officer's console lit up. "We're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Kate Powell. "Audio and visual." "Put it on screen," Ellis commanded. The face that appeared made several crew members gasp. The alien was tall with grayish-purple skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what looked like armored plates covering parts of its skull. When it spoke, its mouth moved strangely, but the words came through in perfect English, likely translated by their technology. "I am High Commander Vexthar of the Zarkoni Collective," the alien announced. "We have been observing your world for some time. We come to determine your species' place in the galactic order." Ellis stepped forward. "I am Commander Susan Ellis of Earth's Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with your people." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is earned through strength, human. Our scans show your species lacks natural defenses. You are physically weaker than most sentient races we have encountered. Your technology is—" Vexthar paused. "Primitive." "We may surprise you," Ellis replied calmly. "We prefer to establish diplomatic relations. The collective does not waste time with diplomacy for lesser species," Vexthar interrupted. "Based on our assessment, humans will be classified as Category 4 civilization. This designation means your people will serve the collective as labor. Your resources will be harvested for the greater good of superior species." The command center fell silent. Mason's hand instinctively moved toward his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless against such advanced beings. "And if we refuse?" Ellis asked. Vexthar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Refusal is not an option. However, we are not without mercy. You have 24 of your Earth hours to prepare your leaders and population for integration. Use this time wisely. Inform your people that compliance will mean survival." "And if we resist?" Ellis pressed. The alien commander touched something off-screen, and suddenly the view screen showed a smaller Zarkoni vessel moving into position. A beam of energy shot from the craft, striking an empty area of the moon. The resulting explosion carved a crater visible even from the station. "That was at 10% power," Vexthar stated. "We have 1,000 such weapons aimed at your population centers. 24 hours, Commander. Then we begin the integration process, with or without your cooperation." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Ellis turned to Mason. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Then initiate Protocol Omega." Mason's eyes widened. "Protocol Omega? But that's—" "A last resort," Ellis finished for him. "And that's exactly where we are." She looked back at the view screen where the alien vessel loomed. "They think we're weak. It's time to show them how dangerous humans can be when threatened." 6 hours after the alien ultimatum, Commander Susan Ellis stepped out of a military helicopter into the cold mountain air. She had flown directly from the emergency meeting with world leaders to this secret facility buried deep within the Rocky Mountains. The massive steel doors built into the mountainside opened as she approached. Commander Ellis, a tall man in a dark suit, greeted her. "I'm Director Alan Wright. Follow me." They walked through long concrete tunnels lit by harsh white lights. Soldiers and scientists hurried past them, all with the same look of urgent purpose. "How much do you know about Protocol Omega?" Wright asked. "Only that it exists," Ellis replied. "A contingency plan for hostile first contact." Wright nodded. 50 years ago, our best scientists ran models predicting what would happen if we met advanced aliens. 87% of scenarios ended with humanity either enslaved or extinct. They reached another set of doors requiring multiple security scans. Beyond them was a vast underground command center twice the size of the one on Sentinel Station. Hundreds of people worked at computer stations while a massive screen showed the Zarkoni ships in orbit. "Welcome to Heimdall Base," Wright said, "the heart of Protocol Omega." Ellis stared at the busy facility. How is this possible? The defense budget couldn't hide something this big. It's been funded through black budget channels for decades, Wright explained. Every major nation contributed. This facility connects to 17 others like it around the world. They stopped at a glass wall overlooking an enormous underground hangar. Inside were sleek spacecraft unlike any public Earth vessel. "Those aren't on any official record," Ellis said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Correct. While the public saw us building basic shuttles and orbital platforms, we were constructing these in secret lunar bases and inside hollowed-out asteroids." Wright turned to her. "We're not as advanced as the Zarkoni, but we're not as primitive as they think." A woman in a lab coat approached them. She had short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Commander Ellis, this is Dr. Olivia Carter," Wright said, "the lead scientist behind our hidden fleet." "Doctor." Ellis nodded respectfully. "How many ships do we have?" 217 combat-ready vessels," Carter replied, "plus thousands of automated drones and orbital weapons platforms disguised as debris or hidden in lunar shadow." Ellis took a deep breath. "Will it be enough?" Carter's expression remained calm. "In direct battle? No, but we don't plan to fight fair." They walked to a large conference room where a group of military officers and scientists waited around a table. "The Zarkoni believe they're dealing with a primitive species that will either surrender or make a doomed last stand," Wright explained as they sat down. "They expect us to use conventional weapons and tactics." Carter tapped a tablet, and holographic images appeared above the table showing alien ships with highlighted sections. "Based on our scans, we've identified potential weaknesses in their design," she said. "They've evolved as apex predators and built their technology accordingly, emphasizing power over redundancy." Ellis studied the images. "You were prepared for this specific species?" "No," Carter replied. "But we were prepared for the concept. Throughout human history, our species has excelled at one thing above all others: adapting to kill threats. It's why we survived when stronger predators didn't. We turned our physical weakness into mental strength." Wright slid a data pad toward Ellis. "This is the full Protocol Omega. Phase 1 involves demonstrating to the Zarkoni that they've made a grave tactical error in underestimating us." Ellis reviewed the plan, her expression growing more determined with each page. "This could work," she said finally. "It has to," Carter replied. "The Zarkoni expect surrender from what they see as a physically inferior species. They don't understand that humans became Earth's dominant species precisely because we compensated for our physical limitations by becoming the most efficient killers this planet has ever produced." Wright's voice was quiet but firm. "The Zarkoni think they're dealing with prey. It's time to activate the killing protocol and show them they've actually encountered the most dangerous predators they've ever faced." On the bridge of the Zarkoni mothership, High Commander Vexthar watched the main screen with all four eyes. It showed major human cities where people rushed through streets, loaded vehicles, and flood toward rural areas. The humans evacuate their population centers, said Sub-Commander Krell, his second-in-command. They recognize their defeat. As expected, Vexthar replied. Their scans show minimal defense capabilities. Their weapons are chemical propellants and crude nuclear devices. Primitive. A junior officer approached with a data tablet. Final analysis of human physiology, Commander. They are even weaker than initial scans suggested. No natural armor, dull senses, limited strength. They would serve adequately in low-gravity mining operations. Vexthar made a sound of satisfaction. Begin preparations for the first wave of collection ships. Target these 20 population centers first. He pointed to dots on a global map. We have 6 hours remaining in their deadline. I want to begin immediately after. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the submarine carrier Poseidon surfaced in a remote part of the sea. Its massive bay doors opened, and 12 sleek aerospace fighters rose into the air on silent engines. Similar scenes played out in hidden bases across Earth. Mountain hangars sliding open, desert bunkers revealing launch pads, and forest clearings transforming into makeshift airfields. In Heimdall Base, Lieutenant John Mason stood in a locker room with 20 other men and women. They wore black combat suits unlike standard military gear. The material was lightweight but stronger than steel, with built-in systems that Mason was still learning to use. Captain Lisa Rodriguez entered the room. She was short but carried herself with the confidence of someone who had fought in many battles. "Listen up," she said. "While our fleet engages the Zarkoni ships, our team has a different mission. We're going to infiltrate their mothership." She activated a holographic display showing the alien vessel's exterior. Dr. William Peters studied their hull design and identified what appears to be maintenance access points. "We'll use a stealth shuttle to approach during the main attack." A tall man with glasses stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Peters," he said. "I've analyzed the Zarkoni communication signals. They evolved from predator species that rely on strength and direct confrontation. Their security systems look for similar approaches: large forces, powerful weapons. They're not designed to detect small, stealthy threats." Mason raised his hand. "What's our objective once aboard?" "Intelligence gathering and sabotage," Rodriguez answered. "We need to learn their weaknesses and disrupt their command structure. Dr. Peters will help us navigate their systems." In orbit, Commander Ellis coordinated from a mobile command ship hidden in the shadow of Earth's moon. The vessel looked like a small asteroid from the outside, but inside it contained advanced technology that could link to all of Earth's hidden defense systems. "Status report," Ellis demanded. "All stealth satellites in position," replied her tactical officer. 217 combat vessels ready to launch. Ground-based kinetic weapons charged and targeting enemy ships. Ellis took a deep breath. "Begin Phase 1 of Protocol Omega." Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of objects that appeared to be space debris suddenly activated guidance systems. Hidden weapons platforms emerged from the moon's shadow. Deep space telescopes that had been disguised as scientific instruments revealed weapon ports. As the deadline approached its final hour, the Zarkoni prepared to demonstrate their power once more. They targeted an uninhabited island as a final warning to humanity. "Charge main batteries," Vexthar ordered. "Show them the futility of resistance." The weapons officer began the sequence, unaware that sensors across their hull were being watched. The moment energy readings spiked, Ellis gave the command. "All units, execute primary strike pattern. Authorization code, Prometheus." In the silence of space, thousands of kinetic impact missiles, simple tungsten rods moving at tremendous speeds, launched toward the Zarkoni fleet. They were basic weapons, but nearly impossible to detect until impact. Mason and his team boarded their stealth shuttle, checking equipment one last time. As the bay doors opened, they could see flashes of light in orbit. The first human counterattack had begun. "This is it," Rodriguez told her team. "The Zarkoni think they're hunting prey. Time to show them they've stumbled into a nest of hornets instead. The first tungsten rod struck a Zarkoni support vessel with devastating force. There was no explosion, just the pure kinetic energy of a dense metal object moving at incredible speed. The alien ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, failed against the simple physical impact. On the mothership's bridge, warning alarms blared as Vexthar watched the smaller vessel's hull tear open. Before he could issue orders, reports flooded in of similar strikes across his fleet. "Impossible," he snarled. "Their technology cannot." Multiple objects approaching from all vectors. The sensor officer interrupted. Unknown Earth vessels emerging from lunar orbit, and inside the asteroid belt. The main screen showed dozens of sleek human ships appearing as if from nowhere. They were smaller than Zarkoni vessels, but moved with surprising speed and agility. "Engage all targets," Vexthar ordered. "Full defensive measures." The Zarkoni ships began firing energy weapons, but the human vessels followed unpredictable flight patterns. For every human ship destroyed, 3 more appeared from hidden positions. Commander Ellis watched the battle unfold from her command ship. "Phase 1 successful," her tactical officer reported. "Enemy fleet dispersing to engage multiple targets as planned." "Launch Phase 2, Ellis ordered. "And give me a status on the infiltration team." Mason's stealth shuttle approached the massive mothership from below, using the chaos of battle as cover. Their vessel's skin absorbed sensor scans, making them nearly invisible among the debris and energy discharges. "Approaching maintenance access point," Rodriguez said from the pilot's seat. "Prepare for boarding." The shuttle's front extended a specialized cutting tool that began working on what Dr. Peters had identified as an external service hatch. Inside the small craft, Mason checked his weapon, a compact firearm that used compressed air to fire tranquilizer darts. Lethal force was backup only. They needed information more than kills. "Cutting complete," Rodriguez announced. "Atmosphere readings show their air is breathable with higher oxygen than Earth normal. Masks on everyone." The team attached breathing masks that would filter the alien air and provide normal oxygen levels. One by one, they entered the mothership through the service tunnel. In orbit, the battle intensified. The Zarkoni quickly realized that while their ships were individually more powerful, the human vessels employed tactics they had never encountered. Where other species fought in formations, humans attacked from all directions simultaneously. Where others focused fire on primary targets, humans struck at seemingly random points that only later revealed themselves as critical systems. "They fight like pack hunters," Krell observed as another support ship reported heavy damage. "No," Vexthar responded, his voice low. "They fight like prey that learn to kill. There is a difference." Inside the mothership, Mason's team moved through towering corridors designed for the larger Zarkoni. They encountered their first alien crew members, 3 technicians working on a wall panel. The humans froze, pressing against the shadows of a support column. "They can't see us," Peters whispered. Their eyes evolved for detecting movement in bright conditions. "Their low-light vision is poor," Rodriguez signaled, and 2 team members fired tranquilizer darts. The aliens collapsed silently. The third turned, but Mason was already moving. He slipped behind the confused alien and applied a pressure point technique to the creature's neck, a spot Dr. Peters had identified from alien physiology studies. "Good work," Rodriguez said as the final alien slumped unconscious. "Peters, which way to the environmental systems?" Peters consulted a small device that mapped the ship based on passive scans. 2 levels down. There's a transport tube ahead." As they moved deeper into the ship, Mason noticed something. Despite superior technology, the Zarkoni seemed surprisingly easy to evade. They moved confidently but carelessly, making noise and failing to check corners or shadows. "They've never needed to be stealthy," Peters explained when Mason mentioned this. "Their evolution as apex predators meant they were always the hunters, never the hunted. Until now." Outside, Ellis received reports from the battle. Several human vessels had been destroyed, but the Zarkoni were suffering unexpected losses. Their rigid battle doctrine failed against humanity's chaotic approach, an approach born from thousands of years of humans fighting other humans. The infiltration team has breached the mothership, her communications officer reported. Phase 2 is underway. Ellis nodded. Send the signal to all Earth forces. Operation Trojan Horse begins now. Mason pressed himself against the wall as a group of Zarkoni soldiers hurried past. Their heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor as they rushed to battle stations. None of them looked toward the shadowy alcove where the human team hid. Their peripheral vision is terrible, Dr. Peters whispered when the aliens were gone. Another evolutionary weakness. They never needed to watch their backs. Captain Rodriguez checked her tactical display. The small device on her wrist showed the team's position in the massive ship. We need to split up, she said. Mason, you're with me. We'll head for the command center. Peters, take Foster and get to engineering. Plant the disruptors at these points. She transferred the data to Peters' device. What about us? Asked Sam Kelly, the team's communications specialist. Your group heads to their data center, Rodriguez replied. Download everything you can about their fleet, weapons, and homeworld. The teams separated, moving through different sections of the enormous vessel. Mason and Rodriguez took a maintenance shaft that ran parallel to the main corridors. The narrow space was uncomfortable for the Zarkoni, but perfect for the smaller humans. How are they not detecting us? Mason asked as they crawled through the shaft. Their scanners are designed to find weapons and energy signatures, Rodriguez explained. Our suits mask both, and they're not looking for internal threats. Their arrogance is our advantage. In engineering, Peters and Greg Foster found their first target, a massive room filled with pulsing machinery. Zarkoni engineers moved between control stations, their attention focused on displays showing the battle outside. There, Peters pointed to a cluster of pipes and valves. That's part of their environmental system. Foster removed several small devices from his pack. Each was no larger than a coin but contained advanced nanites programmed for a specific task. He placed them carefully on the pipes. How long? Peters asked. 20 minutes until they activate, Foster replied. Then another 30 for full effect. On the bridge, Vexthar received more troubling reports. 3 support ships had suffered critical damage. The humans were not using the expected tactics. Instead of concentrating fire on one target, they struck multiple points simultaneously with smaller weapons. They fight without honor, Krell complained. They fight to win, Vexthar corrected him. There is a difference. Adjust our defense pattern. Titan formation. As the Zarkoni ships moved closer together for mutual protection, Ellis watched from her command vessel and smiled. They're clustering, she told her tactical officer. Just as predicted. Launch the EMP missiles. Dozens of missiles fired from Earth's hidden platforms. Unlike conventional weapons, these carried no explosives, only powerful electromagnetic pulse generators designed to temporarily disable rather than destroy. Rodriguez and Mason reached a small observation room overlooking the mothership's secondary command center. Below them, Zarkoni officers coordinated fleet movements on large holographic displays. Perfect, Rodriguez whispered. She removed a device from her pack and attached it to the room's air vent. This will release a mild sedative gas, non-lethal, but should incapacitate them for about 30 minutes. Mason checked his weapon. What if it doesn't work on their biology? Then we do this the hard way, she replied, patting her sidearm. Throughout the ship, other human teams moved with similar stealth. They placed devices on critical systems, downloaded data, and observed the aliens' behavior and weaknesses. In engineering, Peters noticed something interesting about the environmental controls. Their optimal oxygen levels are higher than ours, he told Foster. They need more oxygen to function efficiently. Foster smiled behind his mask. Then our plan will work even better than expected. The nanites they had planted began their microscopic work, gradually altering the ship's atmospheric composition. The change was subtle, the oxygen level dropping by tiny increments, not enough for alarms to sound, but enough to slowly affect the Zarkoni. On the bridge, Vexthar felt a strange heaviness in his limbs. He shook his head, trying to clear an unexpected fog from his mind. Around him, other officers showed similar signs of discomfort. "Ship status," he demanded. "All systems functional," the operations officer replied, his speech slightly slurred. "But something feels wrong." Vexthar's four eyes narrowed. Internal scan. Full spectrum. The scan began, but by then, the humans were already moving to the next phase of their plan. As Rodriguez activated the sedative gas in the secondary command center, Mason accessed a control panel using translation software Peters had developed. "I'm in," he told Rodriguez, "sending tactical data to Earth now." Outside, Ellis received the transmission. "We have it," she announced to her crew. "All ships execute Phase 3. Operation Achilles begins now." The effects of lowered oxygen spread through the mothership like an invisible tide. Zarkoni crew members moved more slowly, their reactions dulled. Many didn't notice the change, attributing their fatigue to the stress of unexpected battle. In engineering, Peters monitored his tablet as data streamed in from sensors they had placed throughout the ship. "It's working better than we hoped," he told Foster. "Their physiology is even more sensitive to oxygen changes than our models predicted." Foster nodded as he planted the last of their devices. "The beauty is they won't even realize what's happening until it's too late. Lower oxygen doesn't trigger their danger response the way it would for humans." On the bridge, Vexthar struggled to focus. His vision blurred slightly at the edges, and simple decisions seemed to require more effort than usual. Around him, the command crew showed similar symptoms. "Status report," he demanded, his voice harsher than intended. "3 destroyers heavily damaged," an officer replied slowly. "The humans, they target our propulsion and weapon systems with precision." Vexthar slammed his fist on the command console. "How? They are primitive. They should not have this tactical knowledge." In the secondary command center, Rodriguez and Mason moved among the unconscious Zarkoni officers. The sedative gas had worked perfectly, leaving the aliens slumped at their stations. Mason connected a small device to the main tactical display. "Downloading their command protocols now," he said. "This will let our ships predict their movements." Rodriguez studied the alien technology with professional interest. "Their systems are advanced, but the designs are inflexible. No redundancies, no backup systems. They built for power, not survival." Outside, the space battle shifted dramatically as Ellis received the tactical data from Mason. With intimate knowledge of Zarkoni command protocols, Earth ships began targeting specific vulnerabilities in alien vessels. "All ships, focus fire on these coordinates," Ellis ordered. The tactical display highlighted weak points in Zarkoni ship designs, junction points where power conduits met shield generators, cooling vents that couldn't be closed during combat, sensor arrays that, if damaged, would blind entire sections of their ships. The Zarkoni responded with increasing confusion. Their battle doctrine relied on overwhelming force against predictable enemies. The humans were neither predictable nor fighting according to any recognized pattern. Back on the mothership, the environmental control systems detected the dropping oxygen levels and automatically tried to compensate. This triggered the second phase of Peters' plan. When the system increased oxygen flow, the nanites released a colorless, odorless sedative throughout the command sections of the ship. Vexthar was the first to notice something was wrong. "Security alert," he started to say, but his words slurred. Around him, bridge officers slumped in their seats or collapsed to the floor. Vexthar fought against the spreading numbness, reaching for the emergency override. But darkness claimed him before his fingers found the controls. Kelly's team reached the data center and began downloading massive amounts of information about the Zarkoni, their worlds, technology, biology, and history. "This is incredible," Kelly whispered as the files transferred. Their entire knowledge database is open to us. They never expected anyone to get this far. His teammate Ben Harris replied. Why build strong internal security when you believe your external defenses are unbeatable? As more Zarkoni ships lost power or control, Ellis directed the human fleet to disable rather than destroy. Precision strikes targeted weapons and engines, leaving life support and core systems intact. Phase 3 complete, her tactical officer reported. 87% of the Zarkoni fleet is immobilized. The remainder are retreating to defensive positions around the mothership. Ellis nodded. And the mothership itself? Internal sensors show minimal activity. Life signs stable but sedated in all command areas. Rodriguez reports they have control of secondary command systems. Ellis took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Send the message to all Earth forces. Phase 4 begins now. Prepare boarding parties for all disabled Zarkoni vessels. Medical teams standing by. She turned to her communications officer. And send a direct message to High Commander Vexthar's personal channel. Tell him when he wakes up. We would like to discuss new terms. Vexthar blinked his 4 eyes slowly as consciousness returned. His vision cleared to reveal an unfamiliar room. It was the mothership's conference chamber, but it had been rearranged. He sat at one end of the long table. At the other end sat Commander Susan Ellis, flanked by Lieutenant Mason and Captain Rodriguez. Welcome back, High Commander, Ellis said. Her voice was calm and carried no hint of victory or mockery. Vexthar tried to stand but found himself too weak. What have you done? He demanded. We adjusted your ship's atmosphere to levels slightly uncomfortable for your species, Ellis explained. The effects are temporary. You'll recover fully in a few hours. My fleet? Vexthar asked, dreading the answer. Ellis gestured to a large screen on the wall. It showed the space around Earth. Zarkoni vessels hung motionless, surrounded by smaller human ships. Your fleet is disabled, but largely intact. We could have destroyed them. We chose not to. Vexthar stared at the screen in disbelief. Impossible. You are a Category 4 species. Primitive. Weak. Your assessment was flawed, Ellis replied. She nodded to Dr. Peters, who had joined them. He activated a holographic display in the center of the table. This is humanity's true history, Peters began. Images appeared showing early humans hunting massive prehistoric beasts with simple spears. We rose to dominance on our planet not through superior strength, but through intelligence, cooperation, and adaptation. The display shifted to show the evolution of human weapons and tactics throughout history. In less than 10,000 years, a blink in evolutionary terms, we went from stone tools to space travel, Peters continued. Not because we were naturally violent, but because we had to overcome stronger predators and harsh environments. Mason stepped forward. Your species evolved as apex predators, never seriously threatened by anything on your world. You built your technology and tactics around overwhelming force. Humans evolved as vulnerable omnivores, Rodriguez added. We survived by outsmarting threats, by hiding, by studying weaknesses, by working together in ways your species never needed to. Ellis stood and walked around the table. Every time humans faced extinction, from predators, disease, climate, or each other, we adapted and developed new methods to survive. We've created thousands of ways to kill during our evolution. She reached Vexthar and placed a data pad before him. These are simulations our scientists ran, in direct combat scenarios against every known galactic threat. Humans consistently developed effective countermeasures within remarkably short timeframes. Vexthar studied the data, his expression changing from disbelief to understanding. The killing protocol, he said slowly. Ellis nodded. It wasn't just about weapons. It's humanity's natural response to existential threats. We recognized long ago that first contact with advanced aliens would likely be hostile. So we prepared. You hid your true capabilities, Vexthar realized. We did, Ellis confirmed. A lesson learned from our own history. When technologically advanced human civilizations encountered less advanced ones, the results were often devastating for the latter. We assumed the same might be true on a galactic scale. Vexthar looked up from the datapad. What happens now? Do you destroy us? Take our technology? Enslave our people as we plan to do to yours? No, Ellis said firmly. We offer terms instead. She returned to her seat and slid a document across the table. The Zarkoni will leave Earth space. You will report to your collective that humans are to be reclassified as a Category 1 civilization, those too dangerous to provoke and valuable as potential allies. Vexthar read through the document carefully. And if I refuse? Then we continue demonstrating why that would be unwise. Ellis replied evenly. But I don't think it will come to that. Your species values strength above all else. Today, we've shown you ours. The alien commander was quiet for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he made a sound that the translation software identified as laughter. In all our expansion, across dozens of star systems, we have never encountered a species like yours, Vexthar said. You appeared weak but hid remarkable strength. You could have destroyed us, but chose restraint. Perhaps there is much our peoples could learn from each other. He reached for the document. I will sign your terms, Commander Ellis. The Zarkoni Collective will know that on the edge of the galaxy, we found not prey, but a worthy equal. 6 months after the Zarkoni encounter, Lieutenant John Mason stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Unity Station. The massive orbital platform served as Earth's embassy to the stars, built with a blend of human ingenuity and adapted alien technology. Through the wide viewport, Mason watched ships come and go. Earth vessels, once hidden, now flew openly alongside visitors from 3 other alien civilizations that had opened diplomatic relations with humanity. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Olivia Carter said as she joined him at the window. Mason nodded. Hard to believe how much has changed in half a year. Below them, Earth looked peaceful, but it was far from the same planet it had been before first contact. The revelation of the Hidden Fleet and Protocol Omega had transformed society. Humans now work together with a new sense of purpose, advancing technology at an unprecedented rate by combining their own innovations with studied alien concepts. The Zarkoni kept their word, Carter observed, pointing to a sleek purple vessel approaching the station. That's their 3rd diplomatic mission this month. They respect strength, Mason replied, and we showed them plenty of that. Carter smiled. What we showed them was actually restraint. That impressed them even more than our tactics. In their culture, true power is shown by what you choose not to do, not just what you can do. A small alert chimed on Mason's wrist device. The ceremony is starting soon. We should head down. They walked through corridors filled with a mix of humans and aliens. Engineers from Earth worked alongside Zarkoni technicians, combining their knowledge in ways that benefited both species. In the main hall, Commander Ellis waited at a podium. Beside her stood Vexthar, now serving as the Zarkoni ambassador to Earth. His imposing figure drew stares from the gathered crowd, but there was no fear in the human's eyes, only curiosity and respect. Today marks a new chapter in our shared story. Ellis began when everyone had assembled. 6 months ago, we met as enemies. Today, we stand as partners in a growing galactic community. Vexthar stepped forward. The Zarkoni Collective has much to learn from humans, he said, his translated voice carrying through the hall. Your species has shown us that true strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it is hidden beneath what appears to be weakness. After the ceremony, Mason found himself alone with Dr. Peters in a quiet corner of the reception. I've been meaning to ask you something, Mason said. The defensive technologies we revealed during the battle, were they really all we had? Peters smiled knowingly. Not even close. What we showed the Zarkoni was perhaps 20% of our full capabilities. The rest remains hidden. Even from our new allies. Especially from our allies, Peters replied. Another lesson from human history: trust, but verify. Director Wright calls it the second protocol. On the other side of the room, Ellis was deep in conversation with a delegation from the Naviri, a peaceful species that had contacted Earth after hearing about the defeat of the Zarkoni. Your victory changed how many civilizations view humanity, the lead Naviri diplomat explained. Before, you were seen as primitive, isolated, perhaps easy prey for expansion. Now, there is caution. Ellis nodded. And what do the Naviri think of us? We think humans are dangerous, the alien said bluntly, but also fascinating. You evolved not as conquerors, but as survivors. This makes you unique among spacefaring races. Later that evening, as the station orbited into Earth's night side, Vexthar joined Ellis on the observation deck. They stood in companionable silence, watching the lights of cities below. Our scientists are still studying the data from our encounter, Vexthar said finally. They remain puzzled by one thing: how did a physically weaker species develop such effective defensive capabilities? Ellis smiled. The same way a small mammal survives in a world of dinosaurs, by being smarter, more adaptable, and understanding that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to show your strength at all. In a secure database on Earth, a file was updated. Earth's galactic classification officially changed from Category 4, suitable for subjugation, to Category 1, approach with extreme caution. Alliance recommended. A note was added to the entry: humans, deceptively dangerous, appear weak but possess remarkable defensive capabilities. Their greatest weapon is not technology, but adaptability.